What's going on, people? Welcome to the start of the NFL season and welcome to the start of the breakdown. Let's get straight into the action with some NFL scores from this weekend. We have the Broncos beating the Panthers narrowly by 1 point, 21-20. We have the Packers on top of the Jaguars, 27-23. We got the Chiefs beating the Chargers in one hell of a comeback. In OT, we got 33-27. We had a shootout with the Saints and the Raiders coming out on top, 35-34. We got the Bengals narrowly trouncing the Jets, 23-22. Of course, we got my Eagles beating up on them Browns, 29-10. We have the Titans losing to the Vikings without their starting quarterback and without their backup. We got the Bears losing to the Texans, 14-23. We got the Bills in a very low-scoring defensive game, losing to the Ravens, 7-13. We got the Buccaneers on top of the Falcons, 31-24. We got the Dolphins narrowly losing to the Seahawks, 10-12. Defensive game. We got the Giants beating the Cowboys. Really don't care about either of those teams because they both showed supreme ineptitude in winning. We got the Lions on top of the Colts, 39-35. We got the Patriots on top of the Cardinals without Tom Brady, 23-21. We got the Steelers embarrassing the Redskins, straight up embarrassing the Redskins, 38-16. And then we have the embarrassment of the league, the LA Rams, coming in at 0. And you can't win with 0, so obviously they're the losers to the 49ers. So now that you're all caught up, I'm going to be doing 2 NFL game analysis in depth. Then I'm going to be going into fantasy standouts, my fantasy team, and your fantasy strategy for this upcoming week. Now, with that being said, let's get to some in-game analysis. Now, before I get too far ahead of myself, let me break down how exactly I do my analysis. First, I go by the numbers, then I go by what I saw. And then I tell you what I expect to see going forward. Now, the numbers, strictly by the numbers, in the Broncos-Panthers game, Cam Newton was a better quarterback than Trevor Siemian. Numbers-wise, he has 18, Cam Newton that is 18 for 33, 194 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Now, the 1 interception really wasn't his fault, but still, it kind of was. But let's keep going. Rushing, we got Jonathan Stewart leading the way with 15 attempts, 64 yards, no touchdowns. And then we have Cam Newton as the second leading rusher. I'm guessing that's going to be a theme this year, with 11 rushes, 54 yards, and 1 rushing touchdown, which again, probably going to be a theme this year. But the biggest thing I wanted to touch on, Kelvin Benjamin is a monster. Numbers, watching the game, and going forward, all 3 phases that I'm going to be covering, Kelvin Benjamin is a monster. Now, this is his first game back since his rookie year, and he tore it up. He just looked like a man amongst boys out there. Knowing that the average cornerback is around 5'10" to 6 foot, to about 5'10", maybe 6 foot if you're lucky. You could get a couple of good cornerbacks on your team that are 6 feet tall, but Kelvin Benjamin, he's what, 6'4"? Just outwent. He looks like LeBron playing against a bunch of point guards, if I had to put in a basketball analogy. But yeah, 6 receptions, 91 yards, 1 touchdown. Really impressive stuff from your first game back. Then we got Greg Olsen coming in with 7 catches, 73 yards. Probably going to be doing that all season because Greg Olsen is reliable and just an overall, just one of the top 5 tight ends, I would say. Now, everybody else, Ted Ginn, Devin Funchess, Brown, all of those guys, they were good. I'm not going to really go into them because they only had 1 catch. But strictly by the numbers, they didn't have that great of an offensive game. Really good running numbers, decent passing numbers, but What do you expect when you're playing the Super Bowl champion defense in the Broncos? Now let's go over to my boy Trevor Siemian. First off, I want to say shout out to Stephen A. Smith for not believing in him, giving this man the opportunity to just make him look like a fool on Thursday night. So now we're going to take a closer look at the Denver Broncos number. Trevor Siemian, what a rookie debut. Not only did he shut Stephen A. Smith the fuck up, he definitely proved to the world he's somebody to watch going forward. 18 for 26, 178 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. I'm going to talk about those interceptions later when I'm talking about the in-game death, when I'm talking about what I saw. But just by the numbers, he had 2 interceptions, which is a knock. But again, he's a rookie. To be expected. Good game overall, got the W. Now let's go to the rushing numbers. C.J. Anderson making a return this year with a 20-attempt, 92-yard game for 1 touchdown. Definitely a strong showing for him after the disappointing season he had last year. Then receiving numbers. We got 5 receptions for Emmanuel Sanders for 49 yards, 4 receptions for Demaryius Thomas for 48 yards. Then we got C.J. Anderson contributing to the passing game with 4 receptions, 47 yards, 1 touchdown at the backfield. Then we got Green for 4 receptions, 28 yards. Just spread the ball around, Trevor Siemian. Good job. What a way to show poise coupled with great decision making. Just an overall great, solid foundation for the start of Trevor Siemian's career. Now let's talk about the optics of this thrilling back and forth game that came down to the very last play. Now, on a grading system, I'll give the Panthers a B and then I'll give the Broncos a B+, mainly because the Broncos held it together with a damn near rookie quarterback, and beating the much more athletic and just overall better looking quarterback in Cam Newton. Mainly because if I was grading them on a offensive, defensive, then a collective grade, it would be defense is a B for the Carolina Panthers, B/B+, maybe A, and then their offense is also a B/B+, A. The Denver would be their defense is A/A+, and their offense, even with a near rookie quarterback, their offense is still a solid B minus. At times when he's not really where he's looking like an inexperienced quarterback. It's crazy how good the Denver Broncos defense must be to keep one of the best triple threat quarterbacks we've ever seen in check. Now, when I say triple threat, I mean the ability to beat you from the pocket, the ability to extend plays, and then, of course, the ability to flat out beat you with his own legs. Now, it's amazing that the Denver Broncos defense just not shut him down, but made him have a pretty modest game with under 200 yards passing. They kind of let him get his running with 11 rushing attempts, 54 rushing yards, but what can you do about that? Cam Newton is going to get out into the open field just because that's the way they play defense. Sometimes their back is turned, sometimes you send everybody out and just nobody has an eye on it. Can't do anything about that. Now, what Trevor Siemian did was take that spotlight that he had on him, that everybody placed on him, playing behind one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best regular season quarterback we've ever seen in Peyton Manning, and looking like just, hey, I'm just coming out here to get my job done, earn my paycheck, and to make sure the Denver Broncos go back to a Super Bowl. Good job. Bravo, Trevor Siemian. Finally, time to move on to my fantasy team, Coach Klein Fantasy Football Island, where you get to live vicariously through me, a fantasy football champion. Now, I will be bringing you my NFL.com fantasy football team. What a joke. I'm sorry. It's ESPN. NFL.com is a joke. Who does 3 wide receivers? Who does that? Like, how do you calculate for that? Anyway, we're going to go with ESPN.com's fantasy football leagues, where I made 5 teams, and I will go over all 5 of those teams where I have one my week 1 fantasy matchup in 4 out of the 5. This is where I implement a different but similar strategy in place for each team. Now let's go over them. Now my first team, the Backyard Badfords, that's the team, this is the team that I'm 0-1. I lost last week, even though I scored in the top 96% with points, but whatever. It was just the other guy had a better team than me this week. Shit happens. But let's see who I'm starting this week. This week I'm starting Aaron Rodgers, DeMarco Murray, C.J. Anderson, wide receivers Jordy Nelson and Amari Cooper, tight end Antonio Gates. My flex is LaShawn McCoy. My defense is going to be the Eagles because I have no faith in Jay Cutler. And my kicker is, I don't want to mispronounce, but it's the Carolina kicker. So the strategy for this week is, I just wanted the matchups are, let's see, Aaron Rodgers, always a start. DeMarco Murray, I think he's going to have a good game against Detroit. C.J. Anderson, he's going to put up really, really good numbers against Indiana. The Colts, they're usually a come-from-behind type of team. So with that being said, C.J. Anderson is going to see a lot of carries in the second half, especially if he can keep his yards per carry up. Let's see now. Wide receivers, Jordy Nelson, always a must start. Aaron Rodgers' #1 target. We saw what happened last year without him. So you got to figure he's going to be a big part in this year's offense. Amari Cooper, that boy is turning into a real good wide receiver. There's a lot of them in the league this year, but he is another special subject. Then we have the ageless, timeless Antonio Gates, still jumping over defenses to get touchdowns this week. He'll be going up against Jacksonville. Jacksonville's on the up and coming, but I still believe in Antonio Gates and their 9-linebacking having core. Then I have on my flex LaShawn McCoy going against the Jets, which have an awesome front, but I still have faith in LaShawn McCoy, definitely over my backup, which is Carlos Hyde. I have no faith in him against Carolina and their linebacking core. That's some monstrous stuff right there. Brandon Marshall is going up against Buffalo. Not really. I think LaShawn McCoy can have a couple more points than him, because I think Buffalo is going to give it up to, the second guy in the Jets. But then Sammy Watkins, oh man, I don't really, he's questionable this week, and who knows what that means with the new determinations. We got Bilal Powell, not really big on him. LaShawn McCoy is a better pick than him. Kevin White, again, until he's more proven. LaShawn McCoy is a better pick than him. And then we got Travis Benjamin, again, till he's more proven. I need somebody strong with face value in that flex position. Now, I'm not going to go over each one individually, but the rest of my fantasy teams, I have one in. So with that being said, I'm just going to go a quick overview with this one being special because I feel like this one is my best squad. I call it Hit Squad. But Cam Newton's my starting quarterback. Lamar Miller is my running back, along with Lavertius Murray, A.J. Green, Eric Decker, Dwayne Allen, Kelvin Benjamin, Eagles defense. Mason Crosby's my kicker. My bench goes Arian Foster, Zach Ertz. Now, I'm not going to go over each one individually, but the rest of my fantasy teams, I have one in. So with that being said, I'm just going to go a quick overview with this one being special because I feel like this one is my best squad. I call it Hit Squad. But Cam Newton's my starting quarterback. Lamar Miller is my running back, along with Lavertius Murray, A.J. Green, Eric Decker, Dwayne Allen, Kelvin Benjamin, Eagles defense. Mason Crosby's my kicker. My bench goes Arian Foster, Zach Ertz, Thomas Rawls, Melvin Gordon, T.J. Yeldon, Emmanuel Sanders, Michael Floyd, Jets defense, and Kevin White. Then next we have the Pause No Romos with Drew Brees, LaShawn McCoy, DeMarco Murray, Allen Robinson, Amari Cooper, Jimmy Graham, Jordan Matthews, Eagles defense, Blair Walsh. Backups go Andrew Luck, Zach Ertz, Carlos Hyde, Sammy Watkins, Jeremy Langford, Malcolm Floyd, Vincent Jackson. Coming in at team number 4 are the Carson Martians. Starting lineup is Andrew Luck, LaShawn McCoy, Jonathan Stewart, Brandon Marshall, T.Y. Hilton, Martellus Bennett, Jordan Matthews. Eagles defense, Mason Crosby, Carlos Hyde, Thomas Rawls, Jeremy Langford, Duke Johnson Jr., love that name, Zach Ertz, Derek Carr, Terrell Pryor. Then coming in last but not least, the team I forgot to name, team number 8. That's coming in starting lineup with Andrew Luck, LaShawn McCoy, DeMarco Murray, Mike Evans, Amari Cooper, Dwayne Allen, Lavertius Murray, I believe, I might be wrong. Eagles defense, Mason Crosby. Bench goes Melvin Gordon, Carlos Hyde, Kelvin Benjamin, Michael Floyd, Ryan Matthews, Jordan Matthews, and Zach Ertz. Now, as you could probably tell, all 5 of my teams have a lot of similar pieces. Now, I do that on purpose because I pick a core group of players that I choose to follow throughout the year, and then around week 8 or 9, maybe even a little bit later, depending how good I do, I decide to get into the daily fantasy market. So then I judge by who's on fire, who's hot, who's not, who's been doing good for me, who can I put my trust in, who's been developing, and then I go by my daily picks, by my season picks. Now, some people say it's not that good to strategize that way. I want a little bit of money doing that, so I'm going to keep doing it, and on top of that, I'm going to share it with you guys, the people, because you guys deserve to know my strategy, I feel. That's going to do it for this week of The Breakdown. I'm your host, Coach Klein, and I'll talk to you guys next week. And hey, if you like what you hear, please subscribe. And if you have something to say, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to hit that like button, too.